Hello, everyone. This is your first class on cold calling, titled Cold Calling Success Training from Fortune Weavers Academy. This is Coach Weaver, and I'm excited to teach you about this because it's one of my favorite things to do. I love to get on the phone and just talk and get a lot of no's, because I know if I get a lot of no's, I get that much closer to that one big, meaty yes that makes us a lot of money. And most of the time we're helping people at the same time, so it's a great thing. So if you can learn how to cold call, you can actually do deals from your desk. Believe it or not, it works out that way to an extent. We do have a previous student that I call the cold calling king. I'd love him to come back and be an instructor because I think he would put me to shame at this point. He put over 200 properties under contract last year alone by cold calling. So he's got an auto dialer. He has his phone numbers he's going to call. He usually focuses on pre-foreclosures, and he was able to either get those things sold and listed with an agent he's tied to, and or bought as a fix and flip. So this is exciting stuff, and really it's just about learning what people do, what their responses are, and how to overcome those, and ask the right questions and keep the conversation going. Because you know how this goes. If you're calling during a busy time, they have other things going, they're going to hang up on you or give you the brush off. So you got to learn that's just part of the deal. And anyway, so moving forward, I will go ahead and continue on our training video here. So congratulations on your attendance to this class, Cold Calling Success. Effective cold calling will separate you from the pack, guys. It'll separate you from 80% of your competition that isn't willing to get on the phone and get rejected. So, most people want it nice and easy, get referrals, they float around. This is real work. This is kind of like when we door knock. It's very similar. It's you never know what's lurking behind that door. It could be a happy face or a grumpy face. The same goes for the voice behind the call, and you don't have any facial expressions, or they don't know if you're a creep or not. So, it could be a happy person on that call, or it could be a grumpy one that's saying, how'd you get my phone number? And, we've had lots of that, but this is worth it. Take it from me. It's very, very much worth it to learn how to cold call, what to say, and how to overcome objections, because they will come. A lot of this material is taken from our friend Mike Brooks, who wrote the complete book of phone scripts. Top 20% techniques teaches sales success. Cold calling guidelines. You might want to take notes on this, so I will kind of give you a second. First one, as you guys get pen and paper, it generally takes an average of 8 calls to reach a lead. So you have to call them more than once. Most people just call once and go, oh, that didn't work. 8 calls to reach a lead. I get this question a lot. When's the best time to call people? Theoretically, there isn't a bad time to call people, right? But the best time to cold call is between 4 and 5 p.m. Worst, 11 to 2. Where are people when during that time of day? Usually they're at work. So 4 to 5, usually before. Most people aren't eating these days till about 7. So you get them right before dinner and on their way home from work, usually kind of in that time range. 80% of sales requires 5 follow-up calls. 80% of sales requires 5 follow-up calls. We often say that the fortune is in the follow-up. It is so true, because as you call them and keep the conversation going, once you get past their skepticism and they feel like you're a good person, they want to work with you. You've built rapport, and you can actually have, after 5 calls, you can actually have a good conversation. All right, the average salesperson tries to reach a client only twice, and then they give up. No good. Got to keep at it. Oh, here's the one. This is the statistic that scares everybody away. Remember that only 2% of your cold calls result in an appointment. And even if you have an appointment, it doesn't guarantee you a sale. So it is a lot of work. But if you set time aside every single day and you know what our options are and you get on the phone, people will meet with you. You just got to get over the it's too good to be true objection that we'll talk about at a later time. Okay. Here's another one. If there's an unfamiliar number popping up on their cell phone, right? 80% of these go to voicemail, and 90% of those leads are never returned. So even if you leave a message and they don't know you, they're not going to call you back 90% of the time. So you just got to keep that in mind. So your goal is to get live calls. So when they see your number calling enough, they will answer, because they'll start to wonder why this person's calling them so much. So should you use a script? I'm going to let you think about that. I'm going to ask you directly. Should you use a script? Or should you sound natural and ever-flowing and charismatic? You know, the question is, will a script make you sound robotic? So we're going to answer that real quick. So if you think about it, every true professional follows a script. For example, take your favorite actor or actress, right? They don't get in front of the camera or on stage and begin ad-libbing their lines. That doesn't happen. Rather, each line they deliver has been carefully scripted and rehearsed so that when they deliver those lines, we're really moved by what they say. So they've become the person that they're playing. And so they're memorized. And so then they can work on who they are versus just trying to process lines. All right, so you have to remember that well over 70% of any sale is simply a transfer of conviction and enthusiasm. And the best way to do this is to be able to concentrate on your delivery of information rather than on what you're going to say about it next. So really what this is if you have a script, you're already going to know the points you're going to hit. So now it's about transferring your enthusiasm of what we offer and the conviction that goes with it to know that we're actually in a service business of helping people. We're not in the business of taking, and that's got to transfer through you. And if you're so worried about what you're going to say next, you're going to lose the excitement and the conviction, because your voice will flutter and you'll have long pauses, and possibly you might even stutter a little bit. So if you know what you're going to say, the script is there as kind of the backbone. It's the foundation for you to build upon. And so if you know those points that are in the script, you don't have to follow it exactly, but it's nice to know that, okay, this is what I do next when I get such and such response. That's what scripts are for. All right, let me give you some reasons here. Very simply, the more closely you follow a script, the more professional you will sound. Another very practical, important reason for following a script is that it will ensure that you will ask all of the right qualifying questions. And we want to qualify people so we don't waste time. If they don't have equity, that's one of those qualifying questions, right? Depending on, is their house in perfect condition? That's a qualifying question, because we really need to have houses that need a lot of deferred maintenance or need work for our business to function. Scripts also allow you to remain in control of the conversation because you won't be wondering what you're going to say next. The most important benefit you will gain from following scripts, though, is that you will be free to listen to the responses. See, the listening part is the part that most salespeople forget. Listen. Pause. Ask a question, let them answer. Let them feel heard and understood. Take notes on what they say, because the next time you call and they share something with you, you can use that as a leverage piece to get closer. Following scripts gives you confidence. Yes, it does. If you know what you're going to say, you're going to be much more confident. If you ever think about going into a class where you're giving a speech and you're unprepared, that's when your palms sweat. That's when things are... it's already hard enough for most people as it is to get up in front of others and speak. Imagine doing that when you're unprepared. So most people, if you're prepared and you know what to say, it makes it a little bit easier versus going out there cold turkey. And then understand that you're not going to be good at first. You're not going to be great in most cases. If you don't have experience cold calling, it's going to be hard at first. So you just have to understand that this is about kind of throwing out in the water to see if you swim. Sink or swim. That's kind of what the saying that says. So every call is an opportunity for you to ask yourself or improve, right? Here are 5 things to ask yourself and to do after each call. 5 things that you want to improve on. What went right? So focus on what was good. And really good idea for you to record yourself so you can kind of hear how you sound. There's plenty of phone recorders that you can get through apps if you have a smartphone that will record your conversations. What do you need to change with your scripts? So maybe you're noticing that there's a certain part of the script that's not working well for you, and that's when you lose them. Go ahead and switch that around. You're free to change it. How are you going to change it? So what will make it work? And then script it out, right? Write it out. Practice perfection on the next call. So each time you make a call, if you run up against a roadblock, fix it. Modify, move, adapt. And you'll just see how much better you'll get in time. Okay, the key to this whole thing, though, is knowing that almost every person you're going to call is going to give you some type of objection. Very few people you call with a proposition or wanting to get, if you want to capture their time, because people don't have time these days. Especially in our wonderful place here in Southern California, people are busy, busy, busy. So people don't have time. They don't have time to talk to you, especially if they don't know you. So they're going to give you very, very little time. And so you have to learn. Gosh, wouldn't it be nice if every call you made, they go, yeah, I'll meet with you, no problem. I'll hear your pitch, right? We get that in slower paced communities. We don't get it here in Southern California. And if you're out there listening and you're in a busy city, you know what I mean. But if you're out in rural, people tend to have a little more time. It's a little slower, so they'll listen to you a little bit longer. You get a little bit more time. Not a lot, but a little bit. So start by being prepared for the reflex responses and objections you're going to get every single day. When you're making cold calls, it's great because you know you're going to get better because you're going to get the same objection. All right, so let's face it, your prospects are prepared with common objections that blow off 80% of your competition who are cold calling them. Anybody you're calling from a list is already getting called by other people, and sometimes they're agitated. And if you're like the 10th person, they don't want to hear you out. They're just done, right? So you have to learn how to overcome these objections. We're going to give you a few things to say, and then in the next class, it'll actually get better because it'll go over our scripts on some of the areas that we call. All right, so the top 20% of people in sales success are prepared for this initial resistance and easily get past them by practicing perfection using proven, scripted rebuttals each time they get them. And guess what? You can too. Believe me. Here we go. There's the top 3 reflex responses you'll get when qualifying. I'm not interested. And then click, right? It's kind of how it goes. Just send me your information. Sounds good, just send me your information. That's just a brush off, right? Oh, and this one is the one we get the most with pre-foreclosures. Oh, we're already taken care of. Okay, so we'll figure out how to overcome that. All right, so the one that you're going to hear the most is I'm not interested. This is reflex response number 1. Note that this objection is a reflex response and is used to blow off most of the calls your prospects get. Your goal here is to earn the right to present your product or service. So your rebuttals here are designed to sidestep this common reflex response and get on with your pitch rather than answer it. So you just have to understand that this is a way to get around the object in your way, the wall in your way, the obstacle. Here we go. So reflex response number 1, I'm not interested. And you can say, John, I can appreciate that, and many of my best clients told me the same thing as well. But as they learn more about what we do and how we're different, or how different we really are, they were glad they took a few minutes to meet with us. One thing they liked, and then you talk about a benefit, right? So you can talk about how we help somebody, or people. We always say basically this: facts tell, stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell. Let me do this again. So let's say it's Sarah. Sarah, I can appreciate that, and many of my best clients told me the same thing as well. But as they learn more about what we do and how different we really are, they were glad they took a few minutes to listen to us. And one thing they liked, and give a benefit. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of time here to write this down. You should be writing this down on your paper and or a note card or something like this. But this is the reflex response you will get most often. Hey, I'm not interested. And it's really, I don't have time. I don't have time to listen to you. It's not something I need right now, and I don't know who you are. So you got to be able to side pass. That's something you got to get right around it. Because you just need a few minutes to build rapport and to get your pitch across. Okay, hopefully you wrote that down. Here we go. Here's another one. I'm not interested. Heck, I didn't expect you to be interested. You don't even know enough about it yet. But I do know you're interested in and provide a benefit, making more money, saving your home, right? And continue with your pitch. Let me try that again. I like to say heck. I like to use people's names because it grabs their attention. John, I didn't expect you to be interested. You don't know enough about it yet, but I do know you're interested in saving your home. Right? So that once you say John and you say saving their home, it captures their attention. And then they go, yeah, I am interested in saving my house. Well, we're the perfect fit for you because this is what we do and here's how we do it. So you just granted yourself a few more seconds to kind of, give your opportunity, give your pitch. All right, response number 3. Here's another heck. I love this one. I know that, John. Heck, if you're interested, you'd have called me, right? But seriously, I know you get a lot of calls, and every now and then it makes sense to listen to the right call. And this is it. I like to say, I don't believe in coincidences. You answered my call. Everything happens for a reason, right? Yes. Okay. So we're in the business of this. And then what it does is it gives you a pass to talk about what you're really about instead of them just ending that call right then and there. Not everybody's you're not going to get around everybody. Some people are going to hang up on you. Okay, next. Remember, some will, some won't. Some will, some won't. So what next? Some will, some won't. So what next? So let's do a little exercise. Let's say you had to make 300 calls. 300 calls, and you got one appointment out of that 300 calls. So you got 299 no's, but on that one call, you were able to secure a property, put it under contract, and you made $50,000. That's a lot of calls to get one appointment. That means you have a very, very high failure rate. Okay? So So if we go 50,000 and we divide that by 299, every call that you got where someone hung up or didn't answer or whatnot, you made $167. So let's make it worse. Let's say you made 50,000, but you had to make 500 calls. You got 499 no's before you got an appointment, and on that appointment you made 50,000. So if I take my 50,000, I divide it by 499, I'm making $100 every time somebody says no. That's great. Oh my gosh, I would just do that instead of go to a 9-to-5 job. I just call people all day. If I get $100 for every no, right? So you see how this works. If I make 1,000 calls, 1,000, and I have a 0.1% success rate, and I get a property under contract, and I make $50,000, I'm still getting $50 every time somebody says no. So if you think about it like that, that's what drives us. Okay, thanks. Cha-ching, right? You got to tell yourself that. Yeah, it sucks, but I just made $50. Okay? So I would do that all day long personally versus going to work a 9-to-5 job where I'm trading time for money, right? I'd much rather sit at home at my desk in my jammies and make calls for 2 to 3 hours a day. All right? And we could do this. We could go, let's say it took us 5,000 calls to get that one appointment. 5,000, right? So 50,000 divided by 5,000, that's $10 every time someone says no. I mean, if you really were bad, if you were horrible, right? And you could just break that down. Basically, if it took you 50,000 calls, you're making $1 every time someone says no, something like that. So, I mean, we could break that down even further. But guys, understand, right? It's not easy, but you're making money, right? So anything worthwhile usually is a little harder than the things that aren't, right? Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Most people go to work 9 to 5 because they're not willing to do these types of things. It's uncomfortable. but you get thick skin, right? You get better at it, and you get to provide and create a legacy for your family. And that's what this is all about. Okay, back to our lesson. All right, response number 4. John, you probably get a lot of these calls, don't you? You know, I get them too. And believe me, I don't like getting them any more than you do. But every now and then, I listen because sometimes there's some information out there that will benefit me. And this is that kind of call for you. Let me ask you a quick question. Right? And then you ask a question. Okay, let me ask you a quick question. You know, would you like to save your house? Is that something that would interest you? And if so, why is it important for you to save that house? You don't want to just ask an open-ended question or a closed-ended question where they say yes. You want them to explain why. Why is your house so important to you? It's just a house, right? No, you know, my family's lived here for years and this and that. Okay. So we help people with that. But what we do is also give a great option for them in the event that they can't, where we come in and we invest in you. We sponsor you as a homeowner partner of ours. Let me explain how we do that. Those are the types of things you need to say on the phone. And that's how we get that business. And if you can learn those little things, you'll make a lot of money. Okay, reflex response number 2. Hey, just send me your information. This is harder, right? This is the ultimate blow-off. And this is the one I would use because it's the hardest one to get around, right? All right, so just send me your information. I'll be happy to. And if you like what you see, would you be ready to place an order? Or you have to ask the question. And if you like what you see or read, when could I expect to call you back? Right? When could we schedule an appointment? This is the toughest one. So you have to learn that, you know, most people are going to continue to blow you off. Oh, I'll just call you. Okay. Well, this is important, and let me tell you why. And then they'll just either hang up or they listen, and then you have another like 5 seconds to give your pitch. So this is a tough one. All right, number 2. All right, just send me your information. John, before I do, I want to make sure you're ready to act on it if you like it. So let me ask you, and then you ask qualifying questions. Is your house important to you? Do you want to, is it something you want to save, or is it something you're interested in selling? What? I just said send me the information. I know, but I need to make sure that I can help you. See, there's no such thing as a coincidence, and I actually got on the phone with you when most people hang up or don't answer at all. So you have to ask yourself why the world's, connecting us. It's a great way to do it because everybody believes, for the most part, we believe in divine intervention or law of attraction or something like that. We know that there's no coincidence. Most of us do. Some people will ignore it. All right. Response number 3. All right. Just send the information. Sure. And after you review it, how soon are you going to make a decision on it? How soon? And then you just extend from there, right? Obviously, we know your house is in pre-foreclosure. We want to help you save it if that's what you want. Or if you want to sell it, these are some of the things we do for people. And here, let me tell you a story. Right? Get into the story because stories, what? They sell. Facts tell. Stories sell. Remember that. It's everything in this business. And then a 4th. All right? Just send me the information. And what would you need to see to say yes to what we offer? Oh, and by the way, let me explain what we do and how special and different it really is, because I don't believe anybody's doing what we're doing. When you say things like that, you capture their attention a little bit longer. Remember, they don't have time. They're itching to get you off the phone. Well, what makes you so special? Oh, that's music to my ears. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Let me tell you. All right. And the one we get the most with pre-foreclosures, we're already taken care of. All right. So the note here is they may well be. That's true, right? Maybe they have an attorney working for them or they have a realtor that's helping them out, right? But things change. Your goal here is to get them to think of you when they do. So things change. That means they need a contingency plan, right? So you have to remind them, okay, I get it. You have somebody helping you, but what if they can't? And can you imagine losing your house and your family either being taken out by the sheriff or kids? Do you have kids, John? Yes. Can you imagine them being forced to change schools because that person wasn't able to do what your friends here at Fortune Weavers can do? Things like that. Tough, right? All right. We're already taken care of, right? Hey, John, I'm glad you're taken care of right now. I get it. Let me ask you something. If you ever found it necessary to get another point of view, find another option, create a contingency plan in case that one didn't work, could I be the first one in line to talk to you about some of your needs, right? Or some of the things that we can offer that even are. And then I always go into, but here's John, nobody's doing what we're doing. We created this program especially for people that said they were getting taken care of. I'm glad you're taken care of. The only thing most people can do is try to get you a loan modification. And if you are in default, maybe do a Chapter 13. But we work with you through that, and we help inform you on what the process is so that you don't get taken advantage of. So that's kind of what I like to do. All right. Already taken care of. Great. I'll go ahead and send you some of my contact information. Do me a favor and keep it with you or your similar records so you'll have it handy if you need some help with selling your house or preventing the foreclosure or whatnot, right? So you have to find which one of these reflux scenarios that you're willing to take on and what you're willing to say. So it has to jive with your personality and what you're comfortable with saying. So any one of these is one that you're going to want to use. It has to be something comfortable with. I like the one that says, heck, if you're interested, you would have called me, right? So, just something like that. It fits my personality. Make sure you get their contact information. Great. Just out of curiosity, John, what might have to happen for you to even consider looking at something or something different or something better? What would have to have happened? Great question, right? Because it forces them to think and to respond. And they may still go, just send me I just told you to send me your information. You're not being respectful of my time, right? And so you have to figure out your personality and figure out if you're going to push. You have this, like, you're never going to talk to these people again most of the time. So push. They need you. And I often say that. I'll go, you know what, John? Most of my clients are in indecision mode because they're frustrated, they're stressed, their relationship's getting affected, sometimes their faith. We come in and we just take you by the hand and we tell you exactly what you need to do. We've done it over and over and over, and we have a ton of references that you can talk to. And once you do that, they're like, okay, that's what I want. Yeah, I want to show you how to save. If you want to save your home, we're going to show you how to do that. If that door closes, we have a bunch of other options that benefit you. And then go from there. All right, how to handle the negative prospect. You're going to get them. They're going to yell at you. They're going to be irate, rude. Invariably, while cold calling, you will run up against a prospect who just doesn't want to listen to anything you have to say. At this point, it's important to learn a few techniques that just might get them to open up. If you run into a prospect that just doesn't believe in what your product can do, you should respond. Hey, John, I know you get a lot of these calls, and heck, I don't like making them any more than you like getting them. But the truth is, this is the one call that this month that is worth you taking 5 minutes to participate in. I know you want to get off, but I want to help, right? Let me ask you, right? And then you go into the benefits, right? Is your house important to you? Is it something you really want to save, or is it something you're okay with selling? See what they say. You're just trying to get an extra second. You're trying to get an extra response. And you can see this lady looks scary to me, right? And you get them. They'll yell at you. Respectfully go, thank you, right? You can't get you can't get mad, right? They're bugged. You might be the 10th person that's called them that day trying to get them to do the same thing. You just got to be better. All right, John, just imagine for a moment. I know you're frustrated. I know you don't want to talk to anybody you don't know because that's human nature and people don't, especially here in Southern California. I always go, heck, where I'm from, people invite you in for lemonade. Here it's a little different, right? Just imagine for a moment that what I was saying did work out. Imagine if what I'm telling you does work out. I can actually help you save your home. And you are already a client enjoying the benefit. What would you be thinking then? Right? Or what would you be thinking now? You're in your home and you're able to keep it, and your family, and everything changes. All the chaos goes away. Because usually these situations only last for a short period. It's temporary defeat. It's a chapter in your life. If you worked with us, you were able to fix that situation. And now, what would you be thinking? See, you wouldn't be denying my call. You'd be accepting of what we can offer because we are truly different. See, that's all you have to do. You just have to take their beating, say thank you. Do not get emotional. Don't get involved in their chaos because it's misery loves company, right? Just overcome it. You're there to help. Keep that mentality. All right, so that's the end of our cold calling video / webinar. So if this is a video that was sent to you, we're going to want you to ask any questions to team@fortuneweavers.com. So send those questions to team, T-E-A-M, at fortuneweavers.com. If this is a webinar and this is a replay, we'll go ahead and be going into Q&A next. All right, thank you. Stay tuned for the next video on cold calling part 2, where we focus a little more on our type of scripts that you can go through with the types of investment opportunities or the people we would be calling. All right, that's all we have for today. Hey, this is Coach Weaver. We'll see you on the flip side.